Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be going over a region guide, okay, and how to basically build a region map mode out and all of that stuff, right? And how things are supposed to be structured, okay? So I'm going to start off with the 6 things that we're going to talk about in this video, okay? There's chapters down there, and I highly suggest you use them, right? So number 1, what is the region like and what is it in general? Is it mountainous, snowy? What's the terrain like, okay? Number 2, major rivers and lakes, okay? They're very important, and where are they? Number 3, where are the big cities and towns, okay? Number 4, is this region connected to other regions, okay? Or where is it placed in the world? Number 5, I will describe this world setting down here. And number 6, other stuff that I can talk about, okay? So that's what the structure of the video is going to be like. Again, use the chapters down there. Otherwise, today's sponsor is myself. Are you a dungeon master that has been frustrated by D&D mass combat rules? Well, worry no longer. I have a solution for you DMs. The squad combat module lets you run mass combat quickly with massive customization options. Do you like additional D&D supplements that improve the immersion and realism of your games? Want maps for your D&D adventures? Reduce your prep time, improve your games, and become a Patreon member today by clicking the link below in the description to join. And I would like to thank my patrons, okay? They make these videos possible, and if you would like to become a patron, there's a link in the description. Get list out all the benefits there. Otherwise, let's get to the video, okay? So, number 1, what is this region like in general, okay? Mountainous, right? Very, very big mountains out here, right? This whole mountain range is basically covering this side of Athens, okay? And the reason it is because I wanted it to be very defensible for the terrain type that Athens was, right? They wouldn't have to worry about other enemies coming in from this mountain range. They only had to defend a few sides, okay? And again, if you want this map, you head over to my YouTube stuff, right? There's this Incarnate thing. And you can go here and do your stuff if you have the Incarnate account. If you don't, and you want this map and a whole bunch more maps, right? Go to my Patreon right here, click it, and then you'll be able to get the maps there if you become a Patreon, okay? Otherwise, that's why the mountain range is there, okay? And what is it like in general? As you can see, it is clearly forested, okay? It's clearly forested and hills everywhere, okay? This is actually generally how stuff was back then. Big shocker, okay? Trees were everywhere. And mountains, okay? And I used the hills out here to break up the silhouettes of the trees, so it wasn't just a big forest, right? Wanted some rolling hills with some trees on it, okay? So, as you can see, this terrain is a whole bunch of trees, right? And out here, you can see that this area is a little bit swampy, has a little bit different texture, as I alluded to in my, world video. That again, you should go check out up screen. I leave a link on the card right there. You can go check out, right? But as you can see, from the world map to the region map, again, there's a little swamp here, and it's a direct correlation, right? And it's called the Black Forest, okay? Because I like German stuff, and the Black Forest sounds dark and desponding because that's what it is, okay? So that's just this region in general, hills, forests, swampy areas, and all connected, right? With little islands out here, right? That provide little living out here, right? Little spaces to live and stuff, right? Number 2, where are your major rivers? Okay, so as you can see, how I divided these things up was basically I just put the major rivers on the map, all right? As you can see, these are the major rivers that are dividing stuff, okay? You can do little minor rivers and major rivers. The difference classifications that I would use for major rivers, you need a bridge, to go across, okay? And they're big, okay? Little rivers, right? Little minor ones. You can either have like a wood bridge, or some other type of stuff to cross it with, okay? And another distinction I would make, major rivers, okay, can't be easily crossed by an invading army. If your side, or in this case Athens, blows up all these bridges, it is going to take a considerable amount of effort for the enemy to build across a major river. A small river, it won't take as long, okay? That is the major distinguishing factors I would go with. Major river, blowing other bridges, really bad for the enemy side, okay? A minor river, it's an inconvenience and it will hurt them, right? But they can get across it. As you can see, I have these little lakes out here, okay? Wasn't very good at drawing lakes, but hey, but lakes provide, water. Water is good, and they are around here with the villages, right? Villages will be around a source of water. If there's not a river here, they will spring up near lakes, right? To, easily get access to water and stuff, right? 3, where are the cities? Okay, there is one city, Athens. Athens, the city of dreams. Okay, as I called it. There was one city. That's it, right? As you see, Marathon, Therinkis, Solion, and Elus. I can't say Greek names to save my life, obviously. But those are towns, okay? Towns, 50 to 100,000 people, right? Athens had 300,000 to 500,000 people, right? Big difference. Where are your cities and towns, okay? These little villages out here with these little of the field of Athens and like these manors and stuff. You can place them wherever you really feel like because there's not that many people there, and you could say, hey, these people lived out in these hills. They've always lived here, and they just want to live out here, right? There's some reason they live out there. Cities and towns usually have to be on a major source of fresh water, a port, major locations they have to be at, right? As you can see, Eleusis is around, the coastline, okay, and they have a river near them. Athens, strategically very important, has a little strait down here, right? Big ports out here to supply itself, right? Um, Marathon is a crossroads town between a different region, right? That's why it is there and is also on the coastline. Therinkis and Sorian are also, again, on the coastline, right? They have rivers out here. They need to be in strategic positions, and they also should probably be on the coast. That's where major cities are. You can build one inland as long as there's a fresh water source or something, okay? Just remember that your cities are big hubs, and they need to be strategically important, okay? If they're lost, it takes a lot. It takes a lot away from the side that lost it, all right? Villages and stuff, let's be honest here, they hurt a little bit, but they're not the end of the world. You lose a city or town, it's bad news, okay? Number 4, is this region connected to others and / where is it on the world? Okay, as I've alluded to, Black Forest down here, it was a thing in my world map, okay? Marathon, as I've also alluded to, was on a crossroads, okay? It goes to a different region, right? Different whole country, right? Eleusis goes all the way to Corinthos and Magratia, right? It goes to Spartan territory, right? And as you can see, there's roads connecting all of them so that the trade can be a thing, right? They're not going to just not trade with each other. That's insanity. They would trade with each other and other people, right? So that's why all the roads are connecting them, right? That's how this region is connected. As you can see, there's this major highway that leads, through all of the major towns and cities, right? Should probably build something like this, okay? A major highway is where a lot of people are going to be moving across, right? As you can see, all these little inns are popped up around the main road lines, okay? And a lot of the villages are also on the main road lines because they're the, heart of this thing, like the vital connections that, move all the stuff around, all the trade, goods, army, everything goes on these main roads, okay? As you can see, there's these little dirt roads, okay? These little dirt roads connect everything else, okay? They connect everything else to the main road or to a major point, okay? So, for example, Zoa, Linz, and Chroma, right? They have dirt roads that all connect them to the main highway, right? Just like out here. All these little dirt roads connect to each other to the field of Athens, and they have a major road out here, right? That's just how it works, right? If your empire, country, nation, whatever, doesn't have a lot of resources, and let's be honest, a lot of people don't have just resources out that they can print money, right? They need to spend them wisely. So how they spend them wisely, connect them major things, leave dirt roads everywhere else, right? That's how you connect a region, okay? And it's also how you connect it to other regions, right? Number 5, okay, so let's talk about this world in depth, right? So, I'll go into a little expository here. We'll start with my players, okay? They started in Athens, right? Athens was the main city that we'll get to. Okay, we'll get to this in another video. Athens is this whole other video, okay? But Athens was the place they started, right? So, Emmy, as a DM, was like, okay, where do I want the players to eventually go? Okay, where do I want my main plot hooks to be? Very simple. This is how I structured it. Salamis Island would be the first act, okay, the players would go on. So, I put out the town names out here, right? And I said, okay, what do I want Act 1 to be, right? I know the players are going to go from Athens to Salamis eventually in the first act, first few sessions, okay? What's going to be on Salamis? A whole bunch of goblins and orcs uprising, and there's a little tiny plot hook I put there of, Abishai directing them to be uprising, okay? And the players could find it if they went there, right? And they basically were going to go there because they get paid to go there. Why would they not go there, right? So the players go there, they find the uprising, they quash it, they talk with some villagers, they arrive in Barnos, go to Naros, go to Misos, find the villagers, kill the goblins, they're like, happy dooey dory, right? And as they do that, and they come outside, they realize that everything, the entire village was destroyed, and everyone is dead. They go, oh no. They get run upon by assassins, right? Stabbed and all of that stuff, right? And they have to survive now. They just have to survive the island, okay? They do it through a variety of stuff, traveling through the forest and stuff. Eventually, the Athenian military, let's put it this way: militaries aren't stupid. They'll probably figure out what's going on. So the Athenian military lands here, crushes the orc uprising, and destroys everything else, right? And basically everyone that had made it to Baros um, survived, right? The original plan, not all plans survive, your players. The original plan was for Misos, was for the players to go to Misos, Naros, and make it back to Baros and defend the town people, right, from, getting killed by these uprisings, right? My players didn't do that because they were supposed to go to Baros, hold them off. The Athenian military was supposed to arrive in the nick of time. The players are rewarded as heroes for saving these people, blah, blah, blah. That didn't happen, right? You should expect that as a DM. That's not gonna happen all the time, right? So my players went from Misos to the forest, and they said, "Oh, okay, we're not gonna go out there," because they spent like 2.5 weeks out here, out in these forests. They're like, "No, we're not gonna tangle with them. We're gonna try to avoid them as possible." They shadowed the army. They watched the two armies fight out here, and then they ran into the Legion and had to explain themselves and all that stuff, right? But they did their contract, so they got their money. They just weren't, well recognized, right? They were recognized because they were basically some of the only survivors on the island, right? So that's what this whole island was for. That's why I structured it that way, right? So then my players are going to go back to Athens, and this is where the story is going to open up even further, right? So I was like, where are my players going to go? I want to offer them, like, different alternatives, right? You don't have to do this, but it's up to you. I said there was a big contract in Luce, big contract in Marathon, big contract in the Black Forest, okay? I think there was like orc patrols out here that were causing havoc for villages. There was a rock or two rocks up here in Marathon, and the Black Forest had some mysterious things going on. Okay, my players quickly decided that orcs, we could probably do when they come back. The Black Forest, it would be somewhat important if they went there, and Marathon had rocks, and they weren't going to do that. Okay, and when they went back to Athens, short story. I'll get more into this when I go to the Athens, that city map. But basically, riot players quell the riot. The Athenian Senate gives them privileges. The Athenian Senate says, "Hey, go to the Black Forest, check this stuff out. We're not going to give you a timeline, but just do it eventually, right?" So my players decide to go to the Black Forest, and then they will go to Marathon and see about those rocks and stuff. Okay, so they travel up the main road, and it's always safe up here, right? Because if the main road is not safe and is littered with bandits, fun fact for you GMs out there, if that is such a problem that trade can't get through the main arteries, your economy shuts down. When your economy shuts down, everything goes bad, okay? Main roads should be patrolled by people of competency, okay? These little back roads and stuff is where your bandits would be, okay? So the main road, they didn't meet any resistance on, okay? They met some interesting fellow. Cody. Cody was I think a fiend? One of the Fox Fiends. I can't remember the name, but basically he had his own agenda, okay? Anyway, he traveled with them. They went to Dollars, and they're like, "Yo, bro, don't go in the forest. Scary stuff happens out there. There's a village called Delsa, but don't go there." My players are like, "Well, we need to go there, so let's go there." So they travel. Basically, big spooky stuff happens in this forest. I'll get into in my city video. But they get out, and then they continue on to Marathon, right? And all of this is planned out, right? I gave them 3 options. I said, "Hey, a loose Marathon, Black Forest. Where you going?" "We're going Black Forest." Okay, give me a session to prepare for it and all of that stuff, right? You don't have to offer your players literally endless stuff, right? You don't have to be like, "Oh, there's a contract in every single one of these villages and all these islands out here." It's like, no, be reasonable to yourself. Be like, there are X amount of contracts. You can go to one of them, right? That's how it would be in real life. Not all these villages are going to need help all the time, right? Just big things, big contracts, big money is where you should intervene as a GM and be like, "Hey, these are the things to keep its sanity." Okay, so that's this world, right? They go the Marathon, and after Marathon, they go back to Athens, and then Act 2 happens, and I went over this in the world map thing. They go fight, free the satyrs, go fight the Dragon Empire, big stuff, right? But that's the region map, right? That's all they really did, and this actually the campaign lasted 6 months, I believe. So yeah, they went Athens, they went to Black Forest, they went to Marathon, they went from Marathon back to Athens. They did the Salmas Island in the beginning, and then they went off to the other stuff in world map, right? So you don't need to outline it all, but it would be general. This map is a little bit overkill, but hey, I like being overkill my maps anyway. So that's just some stuff right there, and some six. So number six, other stuff you can do. Okay, so other stuff you can do for this whole world stuff. I've outlined, right? I've outlined the trees, the hills, where you want your main plot points to be, right? That's what I would mainly focus on, okay? Design a world like this, right? Perfectly fine, right? You don't have to go into a ton of detail, right? I didn't even talk to my players about why these things were called the golden owl, the orange owl, or the blue owl, okay? I had it in my head, right? That this is where the rich people lived, right? I never got the chance to tell my players that or anything of the sort, right? We never even went to the field of Athens, right? It was a big military camp. Never went there, right? You just have to think logically and use your time wisely, okay? On where you think things would be in general, okay? Where the storyline is going to head, right? I didn't pre plan all of these villages to have their own maps, right? I got like 12 maps I found and was like, these are the villages, and we're just going to keep rolling, right, and make them different from one another. My players, my players eventually would, run into the same map, but hey, right. But you don't need them. Just you don't need to do a map for every single individual town, right? Just a general region map is fine, right? And it gives you storylines you can work off of, right? Like Mini out here, this little town out here is out in the forest by itself. Some weird stuff happening out there. There's your plot hook right there, right? Some of these rich people out here need some help with dealing with peasants or whatever, right? Again, all the things you could make up for your world, right? Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. All we got for you, right? For the region maps. Okay, you can go in even more depth on this stuff, right? Other than that, please leave a like, leave a comment if you have any questions or you want to add anything to what I said here. Otherwise, up on your screen right there should be a video to take you back to the world map that you should check out, right? And also a link to my Patreon if you would be so kind. And please check it out, right? For maps like this, and you continue to support my work and stuff, right? Otherwise, you people have a nice day.